The parable that Jesus tells us in the gospel is one that the church really, the early church paid attention to, but we need to pay attention to too, ourselves. And the contrast between the rich man and his life versus Lazarus and his life was very stark. And then what happened to them became really stark. One giving the appearance of being in heaven with Abraham, the other giving the appearance of being in torment and thus hell. So the question for us first is, I think, answered a bit by all of our St. Vincent de Paul members that are here. Because you do right now what the Holy Fathers, the last few of them, have said, especially Pope Francis, and that we need to pay attention to the folks on the periphery. We need to pay attention to the poor, the homeless, the needy, those that are drug addicts, those that are struggling in life, those that have lost their homes. That's really the invitation of the gospel. And for us to really pay attention to the folks on the periphery. One of the things that happens to me as bishop is that when you're in the office, it's hard to see the homeless. It's hard to see who's who. And so that's one of the reasons I've been going to Our Lady of Fatima as much as I can. And thank you to our St. Vincent de Paul members at Fatima for letting me share your ministry a little bit, to get to know the homeless and to get to know their story and to get a sense of what's happening, in their lives. Because the rich man didn't see Lazarus, didn't see him. So Lazarus, at his gate, he passed him every day. But he never saw him. And that actually becomes part of the question for us, is do we even see, let alone minister to, the folks that are on the periphery of society and the church? Pope Francis has really challenged us as a church to minister and to reach out to all the folks that are on the edges of society and especially the edges of the church, and to invite them to join us in prayer, to invite them to join us in the love of Jesus Christ and to share the love of Jesus Christ with them. Is it easy? No, it's not. And all of our St. Vincent de Paul members, God bless you, and I'm going to bless you at the end of the homily, by the way, for your ministry, to give you the strength and the courage you need to witness to the love of Jesus Christ to Lazarus, who's lying there in the street, who we need to minister to. I had a St. Vincent de Paul group very active in one of my parishes. It was actually in Sacred Heart in Rockport, Texas. We were a Gulf town, about 10,000 people, and during the holidays and the winters, we swelled to about 25,000 people. So that tells you it was a nice spot to visit and to come to. But we had people that were poor, and we had people that were in need. And so our St. Vincent de Paul Society did a lot of really good work and a lot of ministering to people who are on the edge of losing their home or have lost their home already and are homeless, or those who are addicted, whatever. But one of the things that came up for us was the veterans that were homeless. And I had a number of veterans on that St. Vincent de Paul Society. And as a group, they decided to do everything we could to get every veteran off the street. Every single one of them. And so in twos, which is the way we're supposed to minister as St. Vincent de Paul members, they actually went out and started speaking to each of the veterans that we had experienced as they had come to ask for help. and they literally drove them 3 hours away to San Antonio to be able to go through the process of the Veterans Administration Help for Veterans. That is one of the most complicated systems we have ever created as a government, and I mean complicated. And that's what was happening to the veterans. They were getting kicked out of the system. But these guys and ladies stayed with them, and they actually got them through it to a point where they were no longer homeless. And for those years, there was not one veteran on the street. Not one. Not one. So, dear ones, that's our challenge as a diocese. That's what touches my heart as your bishop. That's also what our St. Vincent de Paul members are symbolizing for us, that there not be any Lazarus dying at our gates, that we are paying attention to them and reaching out to the folks on the periphery who are in great need here in our whole diocese, all the way across the coast and south of Jackson. That's us. And in a very special way, as a people of God, we remember in this Mass all the people we minister to, each and every one of them, because it is through the love of Jesus Christ that we have reached out to them. Because our St. Vincent de Paul members, in the end, are a sign of the heart of the Church. Lazarus ended up dying for neglect, but also because no one was there to love him. No one was there like Mother Teresa, St. Teresa of Calcutta, to really minister to his wounds and able to be with him when he died. That needs to be us. And that's the challenge of the gospel for each of us. In our midst, we have our St. Vincent de Paul members, and I want to bless you as a part of this homily. So all my St. Vincent de Paul members, please stand.